What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the overview. I'm here with Owen to take you guys through this week's results. It isn't just Man United based. This is the show where we look at all games.
Thank God.
Maybe it's a bit refreshing to talk about something other than Man United, or maybe it's probably going to make us more depressed when we realize how good some of the other teams are and how shit we are. But no, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up for everyone for coming through. You guys know what to do. First of all, housekeeping rules. Smash a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. Let us know where you're watching from as well. Do we start with our team? I don't think we do start with our team because I think people have seen so much of what we've had to say about Man United. And, you know, we have to include it in this episode today, but we won't start. We won't start with that. Let's start with Aston Villa against Wolves, actually. Random. Let's just start with that. Aston Villa against Wolves. 3-2 win for Wolves. Villa 2-0 up in that game as well. Looking like they were just going to, plain sail it. It's a derby as well. What have you made of Villa? What have you made of Villa this year? This season, sorry. Stuck one on us and beat us already.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But losing from 2-0 up, man.
Arguably match of the weekend. It was a really good match, actually. Villa's a strange one. Look, I think there was a bit of concern, wasn't there, when they let go Grealish, that you didn't really know what to expect. Like, what are we going to get from Aston Villa? Is it going to be a case of, Jack Grealish was just carrying them in the Premier League and then they get rid of him and they go all the way down, they struggle? That's not really the case, but it's kind of the thing of like anyone where they lose their star player. Like, you can bring people in to replace him, and they've done all right. Danny Ings, Bailey's a good player as well. But you're never going to replace him. You're just not. You're never going to replace him. I think, in fairness, when it comes to Wolves as well, I think they've been unlucky at times this season. We played them, didn't we? And they're not a bad side.
Very unlucky.
They're not bad. They play really good football. If they could score, and this weekend they did, obviously a couple of their goals were pretty scrappy. I mean, you see that free kick in the last minute.
So lucky. But you make your own luck. Do you know what I mean? They
100%.
To get the free kick in that dying moments of the game is because you're putting pressure on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and not wanting to bring it back to United or anything like that, but if we went 2-0 down,
we're done. We're done.
You reckon we're getting 3 goals?
No, I don't.
No.
No, it was one of them where I said, even in the predictions before, I was like, Wolves got good players. Wolves got players that you look at and you think, I'm not saying they'll get in ahead of our players now because we're so stacked, even though we're not showing it. But they've got players that you look at and think, I like him.
Yeah.
I'd have him. I'd have him. Do you know what I mean? They've been like that since they've been in the league. This whole Portuguese contingent that they've got, they've had to rebuild after Nuno leaving as well. And they're just a threat. Again, when we played them, I do not know how we got out of Molineux with 3 points. I do not know.
Honestly, I don't. They missed chances. They just missed chances. That's all it was. And
exactly.
that was their problem last year. And I think it's the thing of Jimenez is still coming back and he's still trying to find himself. I mean, the injury he had was horrific. The fact that he's still playing now, he's a stronger man than I am, because that would just terrify me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that
he's a big header of the ball as well.
That's his game. He's like a target man, complete striker. So the fact that he's still coming back, I think, is part of that. But you saw how much they missed him last year. But they play really good football. I mean, sometimes you could argue, when they're playing out from the back, they might overplay it a little bit. But in fairness, they've got the players to do it. It's not a case of when you're watching them, you're going, let's tell you what, they're really struggling to play that style. They're not. They're not struggling to play that style at all. And like you said, they got players in there, whether it's Neves or Traore. I mean, imagine if Traore could actually finish.
Did you see Traore's run? That run that he went on when
it
was unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's just like that kind of run. Obviously, it was pacing that, but he just bullied him. Everyone is nowhere near him. If they do get anywhere near him, just bounce off him easy. Man, if he could, because people have been saying that for years about him. Obviously, if he had an end product, if he could cross, if he could shoot,
exactly.
He would be so nice. But I would still take him. I still would take him.
Just for the impact. You know what I mean? Dryham says Neves gets in above McFred. I agree with that. It was a really interesting one to see. How they were able to come back from that position, and from an Aston Villa point of view, like you said, they're still trying to build post Grealish, but they've got adjusting to do. They're capable of putting in big performances, but when you look at it like that, they've got work to do. They've got to work on that consistency. Their next game, Villa's next game, is against Arsenal at the Emirates on Friday night. Arsenal playing tonight against Crystal Palace, but how do you feel, that Villa will do in that game? Give me a prediction.
That's an interesting one. I tell you what, if I was Arsenal, playing Monday and Friday, how would you feel about
crazy.
that?
The Premier League's absolutely torn them a new one. Because what the Premier League's done is they've gone, right, so our Friday night football and our Monday night football are the ones that kind of need a bit of a boost because all the big games on the weekend. Arsenal are the biggest club, biggest team, not in the top 4 that ain't in any Europe. So let's just rinse them for our ratings. That's what they've done.
100%. Interesting one because you never know what Arsenal are going to show up. Realistically, Arsenal should beat Aston Villa at home. But then again, we should have beaten Aston Villa at home.
Exactly.
So who knows? And I'm here to give expert opinion, but I got nothing for you there, Flex. I'm going to go with a draw. 2-2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Draw for Owen on that one. Let's go to, I'll go with I think Arsenal will do him. I think they'll do him 2-1. Let's go with a Brentford chat now.
That was a good game.
Brentford against Chelsea, really energetic game. Brentford really giving as good as they get. I don't know how they didn't score in the second half. Mendy is a big part of that. Not bad finishing, but unfortunate finishing was also a part of that. How do you sum up that game and Brentford and Chelsea just doing what Chelsea do, not conceding goals, nip and tuck, and just nicking wins and just staying up there?
That's one of those ones. I mean, Chelsea obviously title contenders this season. That's one of those games that you might look to at the end of the season, be like, tell you what, didn't play particularly well, scored our goal, good goal from Chilwell. Brentford, frankly, were all over Chelsea at parts of that game. Obviously, Mendy played really well. His story's great, isn't it? His story's great of being a guy 22 on unemployment, you know what I mean? And now he's thinking about leaving football or quitting football. And now the people are talking about him as he's one of the best keepers in the world. I think we're really fortunate here in the Premier League, haven't we? We got, some of the best goalkeepers in the world. For me, I mean, I was going to ask you this: who would you say? Who would you say is the best goalkeeper in the world? It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I think Alisson.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with.
Alisson and Donnarumma. I feel like I just need to see a bit more of at that level. I know AC Milan was a huge club when he was there, and still is, and I would probably Ter Stegen as well.
I think
unreal.
I mean, I would go with Alisson. I would go with Alisson. I think he's, in terms of all round, he's got it. I'm a big fan of Edison. I think his distribution is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen a goalkeeper have that kind of distribution. It's ridiculous. And obviously it pains me that I'm talking about two of the best goalkeepers in the world being at Liverpool, Man City, but those are the facts.
Gabriel says about Oblak as well, 100%.
Great goalkeeper. Goalkeeper.
Neuer's still there.
Neuer's still there,
not the Neuer of old, but he's still
there.
Exactly.
But I think people are talking about Mendy after that game. Oh, is he one of the best? Is he the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment? I'm like, we'll wait. We'll wait and see that one.
Yeah.
But had a good game. Brentford, I think they'll be fine. Honestly, they'll be fine this season. We said that after they played Arsenal in the first game of the season, but they play really, really good stuff. They're one of those teams that, yes, for a couple of years, they might have struggled to get out of the Championship. But when you were watching them play almost in the Championship, you're going, they're playing Premier League football at times. Like they're going to, maybe the Championship is a bit too nitty gritty for their style of football, but once they're into the Premier League, they really don't look out of place at all, So they'll be fine this season. Then Chelsea just do what Chelsea do. I mean, they're 5 points ahead of us at this point already, and that's what you got to do. That's what you do at Premier League: set the pace, make people chase.
Look who they've played. Look who they've played. With Chelsea though, do you think there's any concern that the forwards aren't really? I think Lukaku's not scored in 6 games. Obviously, it hasn't affected their results because they're still doing well, but the goals are coming from defenders or a midfielder popping up with a goal where the forwards haven't really hit form yet. Do you think that's an issue going forward, or do you feel like that will sort itself out?
I do feel like it sorts out. I mean, Lukaku had one ruled out for offside. I mean, he was off, but it's not as if they're not getting in positions to score. It's not as if a case like, like Timo Werner last season, where it was just a case of he's just missing chances and chances and chances.
Yeah,
you get the impression Lukaku, he doesn't need much adjustment anyway because he's played in this league a million different times. So I think it will come. I think, I still don't know if I think Chelsea will win the league, to be honest with you. But that's because I can't really tell. It's really tight. The last few years, you can kind of pinpoint from reasonably early on, they're probably going to be the ones or whatever. It's kind of difficult to judge this year. But in fairness, you'll probably know more around like December time with that, because remember City last year, how slowly did they start last year?
Exactly.
And then by March, everyone knew they were going to win the league. So things can change quickly.
Because City can just go on these mad runs at any moment. Do you know what I mean? They are really capable of doing that. I think Chelsea are just doing that. The Tuchel's got a fantastic base there. He has got them playing well. He has got them not conceding goals. He has got a structure and a base and a method. And when you have that, you can afford for people to not be in form, because your system and your way of doing things and the way the mechanics of the team works, you don't always have to rely on Lukaku being at his best. You don't have to rely on Timo Werner not having a stinker and missing open goals. You don't have to rely on, Mason Mount having to do something individual. You can rely on sustained pressure from the team and being able to defend properly, because when Brentford jammed it on them in the second half, they defended well. Yes, you need a bit of heroics and a bit of luck from your keeper, which they did have, but they just got a good core. And when you've got a good core that's organized, even when you're up against it, do you know what I mean? You're going to do well.
And a good system. Like you said, like they're not relying on going, we've got individuals in our side that are going to bail us out. They're going, we've got faith in the system that we're playing. We know that the system we're playing not only will get results, but it'll make chances as well. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Exactly. I was going to start keep on doing the predictions for these teams' next fixtures straight after. But what we'll do is we'll get to the end and then we'll fly through what we think the predictions for the next round of fixtures will be. Watford against Liverpool. Liverpool just being Liverpool, where they tore Watford apart. Watford's first game with Ranieri, and I thought they could have. I didn't think they could win. I did think they would lose, but I thought they would have shown more defensively. Really, really bad. Watford were. But some of the stuff Liverpool played was not even second gear, but it was just phenomenal.
I mean, I don't profess to know that I've watched I know. I don't profess to watch I've ever watched every Watford game this season, because obviously I haven't. But there was just, usually like you said, when you get a new manager and there's a bit of a bounce or even like a bit of an atmosphere or just something, there was just nothing from Watford. It was just, and I don't know how much that is of just going that Liverpool were just that good. Or Watford just looked really confused by it all. I mean, people talk about Watford and changing the managers and stuff like that, but I mean, how long realistically do you see Ranieri in the job? I know it's one game, but how long do you see? Because the couple of seasons ago, I remember they had, was it Kike Sanchez Flores? They brought back. He was gone in 3 months.
Yeah, he was gone.
It could be that quick.
I think Watford would just do what Watford need to do for Watford, if that makes sense. There won't be any we don't want to look bad because he's only just come or whatever. If it's not working,
it's results.
They will change.
It's
results. And like I've said many times, I just respect him for it. But they do need to give. Obviously, they will give Ranieri time. I don't think after losing against arguably the best team in the country, second best team in the country, whatever, in that manner with the best player in the world in it, that was just in amazing form. There's no need to panic there. How long do I see Ranieri being in a job? I think he gets the season. I know that might sound crazy. Only because they're in a real with that squad and some of the defenders that they've got, and Watford fans watching this won't mind us saying, some of the defending is shocking, absolutely horrendous.
Really bad. I mean, Danny Rose got absolutely rinsed by Salah that whole game.
And do you know what the worst thing is? Danny Rose has actually done all right since he's gone to Watford. He's actually done well, but he had the first 2 or 3 minutes, you could see the early signs that it was going to be a long afternoon for Danny Rose, and it was. But I think Watford would do what the best thing for them is, and that is if it goes horribly wrong with Ranieri after 15 games or something like that. Because this next sort of 5 to 6, 7 games, they've got a really tough run, Watford. Yeah. Really, really tough. They've got to play us, which actually might be easy for them, to be fair, with how we're playing. But I think they've got Man City, I think they've got Chelsea. They might have Arsenal as well. They've got a lot of really, really tough runs. So I don't think he'll be judged in that run. He'll be judged when it gets to, more winnable games on paper. But I think it's tough. Countryside says Ranieri will have till Christmas, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe Christmas might be fair. And Alien says Troy Deeney is a miss for Watford. Yeah, and it's a whole new. I've said this many times about Watford. It's a whole new team, whole new Watford.
Yeah.
they're going through a big transition, and they've lost a lot of players. Dara says, get rid of #10, bring Bruno to midfield free, discipline wide attackers, not be strikers, move forward / defense as a unit. Would love to understand the coaching instructions. That's obviously a Man United thing, maybe taking Bruno out the 10 and just go over flat 3. We'll get there later on, I'm sure. But just to finish off on Liverpool, I mean, how confident are they going to be going into this game at Old Trafford on Sunday?
Well, I mean, honestly, like KG spoke about it yesterday, and I spoke to a friend of mine's a Liverpool fan, and I was like, I'll be honest, I'm really worried about next weekend. I'm really worried because Liverpool just playing so well, Salah's playing so well, and we're not. And it's interesting that he, as a Liverpool fan, went, yeah, but United are going to park the bus and try and counterattack. And I had to say to him, I went, mate, we can't do that at the moment. It's not like that. It's not like we have yet to show this season that we are lethal on the counter.
That's kind of what we need to do. In this moment that we're in now, that's actually how we need to play.
Yeah, and that's how we would play. That's how we would play. That's how Ollie's played against Liverpool and City and all that in the past, and it has benefited us. I didn't even know if we can do that. I mean, like I said, I'm worried. I'm worried about the game on Wednesday, let alone the game next weekend against Liverpool. And they're going to be confident. I mean, last year, to be honest, when they came to Old Trafford at the end of last season and we didn't have Maguire and we played, ironically, Bailly and Lindelof at centre-back, did we go 1-0 up in that game or whatever? But even then, they just ripped us apart. Absolutely ripped us apart. And it was like embarrassing. That was the one where like Salah was one-on-one and Henderson just had like his angles. I have no idea what angles he was doing at the time. He just put his hand out like that.
Yeah.
And that was bad enough. But
what was the atmosphere? So last year, what was the score? They beat us, didn't they, at Old Trafford?
Yeah, it was right at the end. It was right at the end of the season
where we thought, oh my God, if we just beat these lot, I tell you what, they won't even get Champions League. We can put the nail in their coffin. And then they won like the next 5 games in a row after that. Then the season before that was the 1-1 draw. Wasn't that Lallana come off the bench and scored?
And we absolutely battered them. That game.
We had a good first half, and then second half we wasn't good. And then that's what I mean. We're due a win against these, but in the moment that we're in, it's going to be very, very difficult. So, there you go. Liverpool, obviously, giving Watford the business. And, they were very, very comfortable. Next game I want to talk about is Man City, Burnley. Typical City, wasn't it? Typical City, typical Burnley. I think Burnley, again, this is what you get with Burnley. They have chances. At 1-0, they had a couple of chances, a couple of little scares. You know what I mean? City had to defend quite well. But the likes of De Bruyne, the likes of Bernardo Silva, as honorary shout-outs, they are incredible right now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, to be honest, like Man City Burnley is one of those games. Like your fantasy football team, that's the game we go. I'm going to get my City players in because historically, every year it's like 4-0.
Well, there's a stat. Obviously, I've just quickly, just sorry to cut you off. I just finished the show on Don Robbie's channel, looking at the Premier League stuff, and one of the stats that was read out by Pippa, she said that the aggregate score in the last 9 games for Manchester City against Burnley, she said, "Can I guess it?" And I was so close. I was like, "I bet it's like 32-4." And it is 32. They've scored 32 goals against them in 9 games, and Burnley have scored 1.
Yeah, I mean, so you saw where I was coming this weekend. You thought, well, City are going to win. To be honest with you, I was surprised it was just 2-0. Because then when I watched it, I was actually like you said, I was like, you know what? Burnley had some chances.
Yeah,
they actually did have some chances.
They did.
But City just, like you said, City, this is what City did last season. Like maybe they'll have they lost the first game of the season and they might drop some points here and there, but they'll get a run. They'll get a run.
Where it's 10, like 15, 20 games.
10, 15 games.
Straight wins, no draws.
No, exactly. And then you basically get to like February, March, and you start doing like the John Travolta. You're looking around going, what happened? Because they're 15 points ahead of us now. Yeah. They're going, what's happened? Because they're like 15 points ahead of us. And then that'll be it. And then that's what they do. That's what they do every single time.
No, it's true. It's we don't need to spend long on City at all. But that, it just hurts because the more you look at these teams, we're not. I don't think we're deluded to say that we should be in a title race because of the team that we've got. But obviously, with what's going on with the manager and where we're at right now, we are a million miles off it. And the team, Gary Neville is right. The team does look. I know that Gary Neville won't really label any kind of criticism towards Ollie. He never does. But he is right about the team being imbalanced right now with what we've got. I think imbalanced in terms of the way it wants to play, because if the instruction isn't going to change to these players that we have, then the personnel has to, because we can't keep playing like this. So yeah, City go marching on and they're going from strength to strength. Hold tight, Aaron. Aaron says, lads, I'm a big believer in Ten Hag being the right replacement for Ollie. Dynamic possession-based football, well-drilled tactics, and hard work rates. That is the type of thing that we're looking for. It is the type of football we're looking for, Aaron. Big up yourself on that one. Next game I want to talk about is Everton West Ham. Quickly, West Ham doing a West Ham, really, innit? It's like they've had a good season. They're doing really well under David Moyes. But the last few games, they're just kind of doing that, They lose at home to Palace, and then they're not doing too well, and then they go and win again, and then maybe they draw it. They're just kind of just up and down. But a really good. Their away form's been really good. They haven't lost away from home.
Yeah, I watched that game because obviously it was on the TV yesterday. I watched that one live. In fairness, the game was dull as anything. It was so boring. But oh god, it was so bad. But the thing is, like with West Ham, David Moyes is such a weird one. Obviously, being a United fan, we look at David Moyes in a certain way, don't we? We look at him as that guy, right? And then he goes to Real Sociedad, gets sacked, goes to Sunderland, gets relegated, and everyone was kind of like, man, this guy had his club in Everton, and then, time caught up to him, shall we say. Football caught up to him. He didn't evolve. But you can't argue. The facts are there. You can't argue with the job he's doing at West Ham. You can't. I mean, they're in Europe this season.
Brilliant.
And you watched them yesterday, and they beat Everton, who people talk about takeovers, and Newcastle, stuff like that. Everton, wealthy club. They're building new stadiums, all this kind of stuff. And West Ham deserve to win it, to be honest. And they got good players, and they're well drilled. The goal they scored from the corner was a great header by Ogbonna, who's a really good defender, actually.
I was just saying on the show there, he's really underrated, Ogbonna. He's a good, solid, competent centre-half.
Yeah, really good player. And, they play good stuff. They're a good side, West Ham, So I wouldn't be surprised if they sort of were. I don't think they'll get up to, because, last season they were talking about Champions League at one point, weren't they? Because they were going to go for that fourth when Lingard was there. Don't think that's going to happen this year, because obviously they've got the European commitments, which always makes you tail off. But they're good. They're for me, they're a top 8 side now. They really are. They're a quality team, real quality team. Yeah. And yesterday they deserve to win. They really did. And I don't know what they're on about. I don't know what they're on about with. I saw after the game, like Rafa Benitez was saying, like, oh, goalkeepers need protected more and all that kind of stuff, because from the corner that came in, like they were sort of it's just a load of rubbish.
Moaning about
you're grasping at straws. I used to play in goal, right? And by the way, you got the shit kicked out of you by strikers all the time. And
you have to be nuts to be a goalie. You have to be nuts.
Yeah, and you try and milk it. You do try and milk it. I did so many times where I've gone up to catch it, I've dropped it, and I just fall over because I think screw it. Like, and they give it, and they give it, they give it. They'll go, yeah, I saw that. It was a bit of a shove. And you're like, yeah, exactly.
But Owen just admitting that he's just a goalie and just cheating.
All the time. I mean, that's terrible for stuff like that, And if someone left a bit on me, when they're lining up for the corner, give a bit back. It's all right. That's how it works.
We have to get in the five-a-side team when we get the United v five-a-side team going. That's it. We're sorted.
The five-a-side, mate. A five-a-side in goal. I feel like those goals easy.
I can imagine. From an Everton point of view, though, after winning against Manchester United, slapped back down to earth by getting a loss against West Ham.
Exactly. And Andros Townsend's not doing any sues now, is he?
Yeah, where's Sue now, Andros?
There was Ronaldo, though, in fairness. He's going down the tunnel.
When, you're just pathetic if you're trying to do that to Everton fans. Like, they came, they done the thing on us. Like, no, Flex. You can't. We're in no position to be laughing at anyone. Do you know what I mean? Aaron Singh says, Flex, I'm from Australia, so the time difference is crazy mad, but I'd love to be part of the show one day. Could I send you a DM on Twitter? Says Aaron. Yeah, send me a DM, bro. And I'm sure we can, maybe make something happen. So yeah, big up. And big up to all the Australians watching as well. Do you know what I mean? From down under, crazy time difference. So big up if you're on that early. That is insane. Right, next up, I'm trying to. No, we're not going to talk about Man United. No. Newcastle Tottenham, not till right at the end anyway. Newcastle Tottenham. Yeah. This was a game that I thought Newcastle would win because of.
Really?
I did. Not because I was just forgetting how bad players are. I just thought the atmosphere would just do that atmosphere thing, and Spurs being Spurs, maybe not that great, would probably struggle. And the first 2 minutes would suggest I was right. Really good start, and you saw the atmosphere. Looked like a different country. All the back of the goal was all the flags out, and it was almost like like the foreign games you get in Germany or Spain or Italy, where the fans are crazy or whatever. It looked like that, and you're thinking, Tottenham are in for The atmosphere is electric. Then that goal goes in from Callum Wilson. Good header, good goal. You're thinking, yeah, Tottenham are in trouble. And then cue the Newcastle capitulation, which just sums up where they're at. You know, it's all good them having all this money and what's going to come in the next 5 years. They need to stay in this division because they are near the bottom. I think they're 18th in the league, 17th in the league, with it all to do. And Steve Bruce, surely that's got to be his last game now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, shout out to Sergio Reguilon and Eric Dyer and the Newcastle whole team for how quickly they reacted to what was going on in the crowd. I mean,
amazing,
it was unbelievable, and it's just it puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? You shouldn't go to a football game and not come home, that kind of thing. So it's good to hear that the fan is like stable, and it's time's precious, man. Time's really precious. That comes with everything. That comes with life. That comes with how quickly you react, all that kind of stuff. So huge credit to them. Huge credit to David Gindler as well, who on the coverage was, whilst they sort of cut, they came back on Sky and he was talking.
Been through it, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He was talking about the education and the importance of it, and it was real. I tweeted it and I said like that conversation alone will save lives. That it really will. So huge credit to them. As far as the game goes, like I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer because me and my mates were talking about it and they were going, oh, the atmosphere might get them through that and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, no. No, because in reality, in reality, nothing has changed there. Really, no. I mean,
not in the immediate. No.
Yeah, takeover, richest club in the world. Get it right? I'm worried. Everyone's worried, right? But if you looked at what is the difference between them in terms of their last game and the game they played yesterday, nothing. They still had Steve Bruce as manager. They still had the players. And I was I was talking to a few people about it and I was like, I wonder, and it was curious to see what the fans' reaction was going to be because would they, like you said, the atmosphere is great. They're waving the flags. Everyone was all happy and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, are they going to start booing if they go like 2-0 down in 20 minutes? Because that's a real possibility. Because what do they expect? Like, what do they expect at this point? Do they think now that they've got the money, bang, we should be beating teams like Spurs? Spurs are still top 6 side, right? They still got Harry Kane. They still got all of these players, right? So I was like, I don't know about that. And then, like you said, they scored the goal after a first 2 minutes or whatever. And I was like, man, the atmosphere might pull them over the line. But in the end, it's quality. It's still a game of football at the end of the day. And Spurs, whilst they're not maybe the Spurs side they were a couple of years ago, they're still Spurs. They've still got Harry Kane. They've still got Son. They've still got good players.
Exactly.
And Ndombele is a good player. He is a good player. I know, like we were saying before, we had a conversation before, didn't we? When they were like, should he go to United? And I'm like, nah, because I think a couple of managers have been a bit like, I don't know about that. Yeah. So, but they got good players. And Newcastle, the battle between now and January is just try and get some points. Try and get some points. Because I don't think they'll go down.
And staying in division. That's all
I don't think they'll go down. I don't, because I think that in January, they are going to get a new manager in. They are going to get players in. Whether they're the players that are going to be there in 18 months' time, who knows? The interesting one is, though, and I'll turn this one back to you, of that Newcastle team that played yesterday, that's just that squad, how many players, and can you name them, do you think are going to be there in like 3 years? Say when Newcastle are, Champions League.
Not many
teams
at all. I'll tell you who.
How many players?
3? Are you saying that long? At 3 years time, or do you mean like a year's time? Okay, 3 years.
When they're sort of when they're regularly challenging top 4 and titles, so maybe like 2-3 years.
Maybe St. Maximum.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Jamal because he's my boy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say Jamal. Yeah, I'll say Jamal. But that
was a joke that he got sent off as well by the other day. Oh,
who did?
Did you see that? Jamal went for Northern Ireland.
Oh, for Northern Ireland. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, what a joke.
Oh, mate, I know. That shouldn't even have been one. And but Jamal was young and upcoming as well. So that was probably going to be difficult for him to cement. It could be more difficult for him to cement himself there because they're going to get probably a high profile manager, a huge budget. Yeah. It's whether he can play second fiddle to whoever they bring in as a left back, or never know, maybe he might get a chance by the new manager.
Look at the Vincent Kompany kind of situation. People forget Kompany at City. He was there before the money came in, right? So
exactly. Just a quick one. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you all right.
Yeah, it's going a little bit mad on my end. No one's really said it in the comments. So I'm just gonna jump out and then jump straight back in. But before I do that, just go to which was the next game to talk about, which is Southampton Leeds. Southampton got their first win of the season. big for them. And I'm going to jump out and come straight back in.
All right. Yeah, Southampton. Leeds was an interesting one. Like Flex said, Southampton gets their first win. I thought, to be honest with you, Southampton, like we played them earlier this season, we drew. I think, and they're a bit like they're another one that's a bit like Wolves in the fact that they've just been unfortunate. Southampton have been unfortunate this season. I think Leeds is the interesting one because Leeds were the package the last couple of years that everyone said, oh, when they come up in the Premier League, they don't have the players. But Leeds will be the one that's the interesting point of view because they had a couple of bad results this season already. I think with Leeds, I mean, I still think they'll be fine because they got Marcelo Bielsa. But I think obviously huge result for Southampton, huge result for Ralph Hasenhüttl because they need it, obviously. And the thing you have to give credit Southampton to is they've stuck with their manager through a lot.
Exactly. And this is the first time he's been like properly questioned, Hasenhüttl, as well. Do you know what I mean?
But he's a good coach. He's a good coach. He is a good coach. I mean, he came second in the Bundesliga with Leipzig. It's not as if he's a bad coach or anything like that. I think if he was at a bigger side, I think he would do pretty well. You have to look at everything he's gone through at Southampton. They basically lose whoever's their best player goes every season, right? Yeah. And their squad has just basically got progressively worse over the last 5 years or whatever it may be. So I think he's a good coach. I said the big question I would say would be Leeds because they are having those results at the moment, aren't they? They're
struggling. Leeds are. I mean, you talk about the first season, kind of, the romance of no one really understands them and can work them out. High energy, going at it. But now they sit in 17th. Played 8. Lost 4. They're not good. Not good. Drawn 3, and won only 1 game. So they've got a lot to do. Exactly. The pressure's on them, and that was a big win for Southampton against them because they're competing in that pool of where they're at. But you're right. I do like the fact that they've kept Hasenhüttl. There's not been any talk of him going or anything like that. They've just because they haven't actually been playing that bad. Look at the draw we got against Southampton.
Yeah, they deserve. They probably deserve more in that game.
Exactly,
absolutely deserve more.
And they've had quite a few games like that. Exactly, story of our season. So, I think to be fair, they've done all right. And Leeds are the ones who have to really look over their shoulders and to say, you know what, we could be in trouble. Another game, Norwich against Brighton. I honestly thought Norwich would lose this, but look, let's not be disrespectful. If I was a Norwich fan, if I put myself in their shoes, I'll be saying, okay, this is fucking hard. This is really difficult. We're rock bottom of the league, no wins, hardly scoring any goals. What can I look for? Well, you know what? We've got 2 clean sheets now. We've got two clean sheets because there's one thing being rock bottom of the league and there's another thing being rock bottom of the league and getting spanked every week, losing 3-4-0 every week, can't score, you can't stop the goals going in. You've got nothing to build upon. And I think, you got to start with the small bits first. And I think 2 draws, I'm not saying that that's them sorted and they're going to go fly up the table now. It's still going to be really, really difficult. But 2 draws is a good start for them. And I think that young lad Sargent had an open goal pretty much.
Yeah,
it
was like
the
weakest shot. It was the weakest shot.
That. I mean, when it ain't going for you, it ain't going for you. But that he got to score. When you're at the bottom of the league and you get chances like that, the keeper Sanchez coming and writing off Lewis Dunk, clattering into each other, and you got the whole net. Yeah, you're outside the box, but you should be finishing that. I don't even think it was on target, let alone enough pace. I think it was probably going wide.
Like the guy on commentary said, I don't even know if nobody was there if that would have went in.
Yeah,
it was that weak.
Exactly.
I think the grass would have just stopped it.
Yeah,
it would have got in.
Yeah, it's just one of them. You get the curling when they smooth out the ice.
Exactly.
Just smooth out the grass. But Brighton, what were your thoughts on them? They had chances to score as well, but they're 4th in the league, still not, still on a good run.
Yeah, they're still on a good run. I think it's difficult when you're a club like Brighton because, like you said, they're on a good run. They're playing well this season, and in reality, a draw away in the Premier League against any club for a club like Brighton ain't a bad result. The problem is with the run they're on, they would have looked at Norwich away and thought, yeah, we can win that game and we can continue this run going. So they'll be disappointed. Should they have had a penalty? Did you see the penalty one with Mopé?
I did see that. And it's one of them ones where the contact was so minimal
It's so minimal. Yeah.
But the contact was there, and it's late. You're not getting the ball. So I think Norwich could probably, well, they might not accept it, but I think they probably got away with one there with how the new age football's going in terms of they can really zoom in and see if
I
there's
saw
contact.
I saw it, and the first thing I went, "Oh, dive!" Like I went, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
dived," and then they did a couple more replays, and I went, like you said, I went, he did touch him. The thing is, though, that's one of those ones where I'm fine with VAR not going to it, scrutinizing it, because that one is kind of, that one is subjective. That one is opinion. That is not, we're going to clear and obvious. I know people hate hearing that phrase, but that one to me isn't clear and obvious. That is one where you go, I don't even know. I watched it a couple of times.
Was that enough to throw Maupay over like that? I think as a striker, it's enough for you've gone round the keeper and the keeper's not anywhere near the ball. So any touch on me now, I'm down. Like you could, it's enough for that. It's not a dive. It's basically being clever and saying, well, I've done the hard bit of going around the keeper. I've taken the keeper out the game. If the keeper doesn't come and get me, I can carry on running and tap it in. But if he's going to dive in, then he's going to get my legs. Whether or not Maupay was able to actually stay up and go round and then tap it in, because then if he was able to do it, why not just do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's one of those ones, like I said, I'm happy. I don't want VAR to spend 5 minutes on that. No. I'm just like...
And when it does have to spend 5 minutes, it means it's probably not a penalty.
Exactly. I'm looking at it going, I don't really actually know. And then if that's the case, you just go, all right, move on. So, I think Brighton, they'll probably be a bit disappointed. Norwich, they're just a perpetual yo-yo club, aren't they? To be honest, I don't think they're expecting to stay in the Premier League this season. They'll go down. If they go down, I think they probably will. They'll win the Championship next year and come back up. That's what they do. Yeah. So, and that's almost their business model is like get into the Premier League, don't overspend because we might go down next year, go down, come right back up. But we haven't overspent. We're still financially stable. That's the business model, and they'll stick to it.
Exactly. That is what they do. K Arman TV says, at this rate, I'm fine with Southgate if that's the only way Ollie would leave Man United manager position. Wow. K, I wouldn't have Southgate, but wow, that is
Southgate is Ollie with an English passport, my friend. That is it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But I think they more mean it out of irony as to how bad it's got that you'd even take Southgate. Yeah. But I think that's really asking for trouble to get Gareth Southgate. Okay, so Brighton 0, Norwich 0. The last game, what we haven't spoke about, which obviously we have here on this channel spoken a hell of a lot about, is Leicester Man United. Well, actually, no, Arsenal Crystal Palace tonight, actually.
Yeah, Vieira goes back to the Emirates.
Yeah, Vieira back to the Emirates.
Did he play? I think he played the Emirates for one season, didn't he? He wasn't at the Emirates for that long. I think he might have had one season at the Emirates. At the actual stadium.
He did. I think he left the seat. I think he left. Did he have one season? I thought he.
I want to say he might have had. I want to say he might have had like a pre-season at the Emirates.
Yeah, I think he left that year. I think he. Yeah,
I think he definitely played. I think I can vividly remember him definitely playing in the stadium. I don't know if it was in a league game or like a pre-season thing. But anyway, he's going back to Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, people are talking about the whole Vieira thing. To be honest with you, look, I was quite critical of Palace making Vieira their manager, because I just thought, they're just repeating the same mistakes that they've done before, because they go in cycles at their Crystal Palace. Basically, they try and get in a younger, progressive manager, De Boer, whoever. It doesn't work out. They need bailing out, whether that's then like Allardyce, Tony Pulis, Roy Hodgson. Then they'll go for a more younger, progressive manager. It doesn't work out. Culture change. They've gone through a massive culture change this season. Obviously, not just the coach, but they got rid of basically anyone that was like 30 or older. They just got rid of them. They got so many young players in there, but they do play some good stuff. And in fairness, like I said, I was critical. I thought Palace were going to struggle when I saw that Vieira was going in, but they've played good stuff. They came back the other weekend. Don't think they'll win. I think Arsenal will win, but it'll be a close game. The thing is just with Arsenal at the moment, it's just not that they're like us, but you just have no idea what Arsenal's going to show up. You really don't.
You don't.
And they go through a bit of a weird sort of style as well. Like Arteta can be. For someone that was the assistant manager with Pep, he plays so pragmatic football. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it really is. It makes you wonder what ideas he was trying to get across at like Man City, because you've got Pep who's playing tiki-taka football, and then you've got Arteta who is like, he'll take a 1-0, pragmatic. He's more like Jose than Pep.
Yeah,
he really is.
Yeah, it is a weird one. I just feel you don't. Yeah, with Arsenal, that their performances are doing this. They are. I would give credit to Arsenal and say they are stabilizing. They are just getting a little bit of calm. They're keeping clean sheets, more clean sheets than us, you know. Ben White's grown into his role. Ramsdale's grown into his role. I have to say that Smith Rowe's doing well. The Congo looks okay. So they're growing. They're growing. They haven't got the performances to match it yet, but you can see a little bit of a trajectory there. I feel like they will win the game narrowly, because Crystal Palace and no mugs. They're not. They're playing well. They're playing well at the moment, and I feel like they can not cause an upset. I feel like because I don't think they'll win the game, but they'll make it a difficult game for Arsenal. I think Arsenal win it 2-1. I'm going to go with. And just quickly, it was 2005 that Vieira left there, so he didn't play. Yeah, I don't even think he played in the last season at the Highbury because he went to because his last year. Because remember when in the FA Cup final,
he didn't play in that like burgundy kit or whatever.
He didn't play in that burgundy kit. No, I don't think because so I remember that last game against us when we went to penalties against them.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So Arsenal, you're going with a win. Man United, Leicester, we don't need to. We don't. I hear on the United view, and obviously it's Owen as well. It's not even like a fan of another club who's come through today on the overview. I think it's fair to say we've covered that game. You know what our thoughts are on that game. And wow, what a week this is going to be. Not even just the next week, the next month. Up until the next international break is going to be. He's going to open up some eyes.
It's a big 5 games, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you saw like some of these stories that were coming out about, Ollie and the decision process surrounding him. I mean, there was one from The Athletic that basically said, Ed Woodward's leaving at the end of the year. They don't want to get in a situation whereby they're looking for a new manager because that will overcomplicate things. There was another one that was saying, well, Joel Glazer's got the ultimate decision. Then Romano came out and basically said that the Man United board think they've got the squad to be challenging for the title, which, to be honest, they're right. They're right in that sense. We do have the squad that should be challenging. And, I think, and basically they said that they aren't basically thrilled with how we've been playing, but they expect it to improve, and then they're not talking to other managers and all that kind of stuff. So basically there's a lot of briefing. There is a lot of briefing going on at the moment, but I tell you what, things can and I think will change over the course of the next few weeks, because it can't, we've still got standards. You know what I mean? We can't just keep losing games and get so far off. And these games coming up are going to be, I said the next 5 games, I can really see it coming to an end. I really can, because they're the big ones. They absolutely are.
Exactly. It is really falling into that category. I mean, just looking at some of the stuff coming out today from Manchester Evening News, Man United did not receive a single serious offer for Paul Pogba, so we're unable to justify the expense of a marquee midfield signing when the department was already teaming. Basically, like we did say, in order to get someone in there, someone had to go, whether it was going to be Donny, whether it was going to be Fred, whether it was going to be Pogba, because we've got 5 or 6 central midfielders. Amid an emphasis on top-tier additions, the Man United recruitment department was unable to identify an attainable midfield target without compromising United's budget as well. And you got to add Ronaldo into that. So you're hearing all the usual crap.
Did you hear the thing when they were talking about Rashford and his people not necessarily being happy with what Ollie had said?
Oh, what about his post-match stuff?
So Ollie had said this was in the embargoed bit of the press conference, I think.
Oh yeah, it came out in the night. Yeah, and when he said to focus on his football,
basically focus on his football, and then it's come out today that whilst they understand that the comments might have been slightly out of context,
they were a bit. I read the actual thing of what it was, and he was basically he is kind of saying it, but he isn't saying it like stop doing, because he's saying all the stuff that he's done is amazing.
He was like, everything he's done is amazing, but he's coming back from an injury. Maybe he should focus on football, that kind of stuff. It wasn't malicious.
No, it
but
wasn't.
Reportedly today, it's come out that the people in the Rashford's camp are a bit like, there isn't really a lot of need to say it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just don't. When you're not playing well, you don't need stuff like that. That just feels very, it's an unnecessary hindrance, isn't it? And again, I think those kind of stories are going to keep bubbling up over the next couple of weeks as well. When it's going to take, soon we're going to start hearing those stories about people going, we already heard about maybe we should get some better coaches in, maybe this, maybe that. I think that's the next step. I really do.
Yeah, it's weird. And there's some more coming out from Manchester Evening News. Says that Solskjaer is privately unhappy that Man United failed to sign a midfielder in the transfer window. He wanted to recruit a midfielder in the summer, but a combination of factors presented that. So listen, couldn't give a shit. Like privately,
no
I'm happy
sympathy.
with this. Privately, yeah, I've even said many times before, even without a midfielder, you know, you can't tell me that we shouldn't be playing better than we are showing, and that's on Ollie, that's on the coach and staff. I don't want to hear about what he hasn't got. Look what he fucking has got. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Legendary Villain says, we are losing the next 3 games. I've prepared myself for the most realistic scenario. This fan base have deluded themselves with Ollie with excuses. And the super chat from Legendary Villain as well says, CDM should never be used as a way for the reason we play bad football. Literally what I was just saying, yeah. People who say this do not understand football from a philosophy level. How can the lower teams play better football with worse players? Facts. Facts, Legendary.
That's it.
Villain.
We said that yesterday. I said that to you yesterday, didn't I? Went, if we got a defensive midfielder in now, do you really think anything would have changed? Or do you think we'd be playing any different? No, I don't think we would.
We'd play the same. We'd play exactly the same. Listen, guys, thanks very much for watching. We go through to a really, really difficult period of games. The first of it has started with an awful loss against Villa, well, we did lose against Villa as well, and Everton, against Leicester. But let's see what happens tomorrow. What have we got? We've got the Flex and KG show tomorrow, but we're going to do that a little bit different because obviously tomorrow is the press conference, and we'll do a match preview as well. K Arman TV says we got the squad to win the league, not the manager. Ollie needs to go while still early in the league. A win against Atalanta will keep Ollie till Christmas. I see what you're saying there. Ollie's nowhere near getting sacked, and especially if he picks up results in this next little bit. Even if we're because I'm in a position now where even if we pick up some results in the next 3 or 4 games, like we could beat. That's what I was talking about yesterday. If we beat Liverpool, it's like, you know, we could. But I still don't see it past that. We'll be back.
That writing's still on the wall, basically.
Yes, 100%. I'm still listening to Destiny's Child, exactly. And we'll have Owen on the match day as usual, doing what he does best, match reactions. We'll have KG on the match view. Loads of stuff going on, and I'm kind of dreading it. I'm kind of dreading it because we've got to win this game. We've got to win this game in the context of the group as well. It would actually start making the group look all right. 2 wins and a loss actually start to build, but then the tougher ones are coming when we've got to go away to Atalanta and away to Villarreal. And if we come out on those on the wrong side and don't beat young boys at home, then we're really asking for trouble. So we have to beat these at Old Trafford, because going away to Atalanta needing to win and then going to Villarreal needing to win, my God. My God. Don't even want to talk about it. So guys, smash a like on the video. We will see you all again very, very soon. We are out of here. Peace.